everybody, this is Ced Banner, and this is my review of John Wick Chapter 3. So this has been another highly anticipated sequel. This is the third installment in the action franchise John Wick, which began in 2014, 5 years ago. Came from director Chad Stahelski. It was one of those films that came out of nowhere. I don't even remember seeing any real advertising or promotion for it before it was released. It was just one of those things that it was released, and once it was out for probably a month or two, I started having people hit me up telling me, hey, you got to see this John Wick movie. And I am a dog lover, and pretty much all my friends are as well. So they were, of course, telling me, you've got to watch this movie. This dude's dog gets killed, and he goes apeshit. So I went ahead and I watched it, and loved it. I watched it countless times. Did not think we would get a sequel out of it. I thought it was just one of those, flash in the pan phenomenons in film. But we got a part 2 in 2015, which was also great. I thought it was excellent for a film coming behind another movie and an original installment that was so original. This film, the second one, was just as original. I don't know if it was as good, but it was satisfactory and I did enjoy it. I did expect a part 3. I did not expect to like it. I figured it would be another one of those situations where, I call it the Spider-Man paradox. You can make 1 or 2 good ones, and then after that, you got to reboot. So we got this third film. It still stars Keanu Reeves. You still have Ian McShane as the manager. You still have most of the main players, cast the same as from the first 2. There is an addition of Halle Berry here. All right. So I've said this in some older reviews. I think the last time I mentioned it was probably in one of the X-Men flick reviews. Halle Berry, it seems like a nice person, but as an actress, I feel like she kills movies. Overall, she kills them, and it's just because I won't even say she's really a bad actress or actor, but it's that to me, she's one of those that she's the same person in every film. And a lot of times I feel like she overdoes roles, she overdoes scenes, and tries to get that Oscar nod when she doesn't have to, and it just ends up killing everything going on around her. Extremely nervous about her being in this film. She plays Sophia, who is also an assassin from John Wick's past. Not giving anything away, but he is in search of her and finds her and asks a favor of her. I will say her first probably 5 to 10 minutes on screen were horrible to me. And I was like, I was nervous. I was like, she's going to kill this movie. Because it was very good. It was great up until that point. But thankfully, that was the only time where I felt like she had a negative impact. After that, she just goes into straight action scenes, and she's great in those. She's not speaking. She has 2 dogs of her own who are also badass and make the film even better. The action scenes with them are ridiculous. Listen, the stunts, the fights in this film are next level. And there's a lot of other franchises and action films that try to do action on this level. Fight scenes and violence on this level. And I'd say 97.9% of the time, it's too over the top, and it becomes slapstick, like Jackie Chan type comedy fighting, and it usually kills the overall vibe of that film. In this case, I thought it was done pretty much perfectly. There are a lot of scenes that you're going to stop and laugh because it's just like, that's crazy or that's ridiculous, but it's done in such a stylish way that it's just fun to watch. There were a lot of scenes that caused applause, and a lot of scenes that caused people to kind of jump and cringe or just say, oh, come on, that's crazy. And I love that. This is an action franchise. And the reason these films, the first and second ones, were so great was that they didn't take themselves too serious. They did not take themselves seriously. They just did what they wanted to do, which was create a world that is full of assassins and show the violence. That's all it is, and that's all that it was supposed to be. That's all that this third film is supposed to. Kind of continuing along the line of what I was saying about the style of the violence, the overall style, the set pieces, the cinematography, the colors is great. And that's what I've loved about the John Wick series probably the most, is just how they've taken the real world. They've taken New York and they've turned it into its own world, a lot like Gotham is done in the Batman movies and stories, and Metropolis is done with Superman. It takes this city, but it makes it a different world at the same time, not the one that you know. And they do a great job of doing so. I feel like it makes you even more engrossed in the film. It kind of drops you off into that world and makes you live there for a couple of hours. So the runtime of that, the movie starts off, I believe, exactly 1 hour after part 2 ends. So this isn't one of those, third installments where they have to go back and, oh, here's what's changed and here's what so-and-so's been doing. None of that BS, thankfully. It just drops you right into it where John, is now excommunicado and you're on the run with him. And it never really lets up. The film is from start to finish, full throttle, complete adrenaline, violence, blood, a lot of little, quick, funny lines thrown in between punches and stabs. It worked out great. This isn't, any Shakespearean work. This is an action film. And I think there are very few franchises in the past 20 years that have really gotten it right. I praise the Fast and the Furious movies a lot because I feel like they've done it. They never take themselves too seriously, but they also never get too dumb, in my opinion. They found a nice balance. And that's what John Wick has done, but it's done it with its own style. So big kudos to everyone involved. Keanu Reeves, I love the fact that I think he knows he's not an extremely strong actor, but he knows his strength. And he plays on it so well. He has a lot of just, one lines. The movie ends on one line. I can say that without spoiling anything. From him, he just gives one line, a lot of times one word, and it just works. That's what you want from him, as an actor and from that character. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. Very fun time at the movies, especially here at the beginning of the summer and, coming off of the whole Avengers hangover. So my rating for John Wick Parabellum Chapter 3 is, it is a third installment done right. It is great. It's one of the best action movies, or one of the best, I'll say that. It's one of the best action movies released, definitely within the past decade. It's just clean, from the violence to the fights to the dialogue. Everything works together so well, and the casting makes it even better. And then the icing on the cake is the direction, the art, and the visuals. It's just great. Like I said, don't go in here expecting anything Shakespearean or too serious. Go in here to have fun. If you enjoyed the first two, that's all I got to say about it. So, until my next review, hey.